Today I've built this ultimate modern tech base on top of two ocean platforms in Ark Survival Ascended for Genesis Part 1, but of course you can really build this wherever you have an ocean and you need a big base. Now, I've mostly focused on designing the base itself, and as it turns out, if you're trying to turn two platforms into one base, you end up with a giant build, but luckily it's still within the official limit. And if you've been around on my channel for a while, you'll probably recognize, because it's actually a little bit of a throwback to some of my earlier modern tech base builds, which I thought was a really fun thing to do, trying to bring them back, integrating them with a new toy that we got with these ocean platforms. But because of the size of the platforms, I kind of got carried away with just finishing this build within the official structure limit, that we didn't have a lot of space left for everything below the water. But underwater, there is room for a dino pen, so you can easily keep your water tame safe, do some breeding, which is of course the big advantage of this base. And being on an ocean platform, it's just a lot easier because you can really build this wherever you want. If you're doing it on Genesis or any future maps that get these new waves, I would recommend still building it somewhat close to a landmass, because that means that the waves won't get too high during storms. If you build it out in the open, out in nowhere, you will have waves that will go over to the top of the platforms, and basically you will be swimming inside of your base from time to time. Hello there, survivors, and welcome back to another build showcase here on my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to take you around this base, take a look at what I've done. I have the unskinned version here because I thought that was a refreshing take to kind of see what the base looks like without using any custom cosmetics, except for the glass, of course, because we need those windows. And let's be honest, greenhouse glass walls aren't really that nice to look at, so no one wants to see a base with those. Although if you really don't want to use any cosmetics, that is of course what you would end up with. But at the end of the video, I will also be skinning this base with cosmetics to see what it can look like if you're using cosmetics. But of course, this basically offers you a clean slate, and you can skin it in whatever way you prefer, or just leave it unskinned, which definitely also look nice. You might want to consider painting some pieces to set them apart a little bit more. Now, I will be making a full step-by-step build tutorial on this one, so keep an eye out on my channel. If you're watching this a little bit later, it might already be up at this point. And as always, if you enjoy seeing these types of build videos and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Really appreciate all the support. And of course, feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd really like to see down in the comments below. So we are here on Genesis Part 1, where I've built this lovely ultimate modern tech base onto ocean platforms. The metal platforms, they are quite big, they are very large, and when you do a whole build, you can see you end up with a massive base. Now, I've built this nowhere in particular, just around this random small island, but if for some reason you want to build at the same spot, this is where it's located. It's literally just this little rock, as well as a little underwater ruin that is located over here. But I want to be close to a landmass so that the waves don't go up too high. So yeah, we can see the whole base here. You can definitely tell this is a big one. So I've kept the inside open, as this is the same as one of my earliest modern tech bases that I've done all the way back on the island. This allows some pretty big tames to be held inside, so if you want to be breeding some different tames, whether it's Rexes, these guys are using the Tribe Warrior saddle, by the way, which is definitely a really cool saddle. Yeah, you can see they fit easily inside. I think even a Giga or Karcha would be able to fit underneath, so it has some options to be utilized for different creatures, even creatures not necessarily found on Genesis, and it gives you a lot of space in here, as well, of course, space to your underwater pen. And then the rest of the base, there is a lot more space, different rooms that you can kind of decorate or use in a way that you see fit, depending on your and your tribe needs, of course. And you have these beautiful big balconies on both sides as well, that you can use either for breeding projects, as you can see over here. There's plenty of space, or of course grow some crops. They won't really have any efficiency bonuses, but you could always build a little greenhouse for them should you want to do that there. But most importantly, of course, underwater we have a whole kind of breeding pen attached to the platform. So it turns out you can actually snap these vacuum compartments to the platform to really quickly make a wall for your breeding pen. I haven't really used this for anything, but if you're using this as a survival base, of course, that means that the entire space inside of these vacuums can also be used as part of your base. You can only extend by 2 vacuums from the platforms before you run out of supports, because you can't build too far from these platforms at the moment. And then I've used a combination of just ceilings as well as big cellar doors as the floor, just to kind of save on structures, but also it means there's a lot of big open spaces that won't open by default because I disabled that, but you can use them as exits or entries if you of course want to get in and swim in and out of here. But you can see it's a pretty decent space just using this kind of footprint that we have, and allows you definitely to breed even some of your bigger tames in here. You can house quite a few of them. Technically, I think we can lower the ceiling by 1 if we wanted to, but of course that does come with a bunch of extra structures should you do that. So it kind of depends on where you are playing, what your structure limit is, and what your needs are for the underwater pen. But it's definitely a very easy, quick, and efficient way to add a big water pen underneath your building without too much effort. Now, for the base itself, let's start with the big, basically the hangar area. Of course, we have easy access to the water on both sides. We also have a teleporter in here so that you can easily bring over your land creatures from different biomes or from different places. And the same goes here. We have another staircase leading up. We have some pretty big platforms here, so your land tames also have some space to be parked or to do some breeding. We got all the things we need. Egg incubators, feeding troughs, etc. And of course, we have some extra stairs into a water pen so that you can easily access your water tames that you can, of course, park wherever you want. Just be careful, of course, with water tames that do not like to be out of the water. Don't place them too far along the stairs, because with the waves, you never really know. Sometimes you might accidentally end up a little bit too far, and then you might be losing a tame you don't want to. This guy's really excited to be here, and he's just kind of splashing around. But yeah, you can see easy access to your water tames, to your water pen. But of course, if you don't want to have 4 of these in this room, you can easily block off some of them to give you more space for your normal creatures and make sure that you can use it that way. A normal tech generator right in the middle should pretty much power everything inside of the base, which is quite convenient. And then I've used, well, you might think I've just used tech lights to power this. It's actually a tech light with the luminous catalog skin. I think you can also place that on other things, so you wouldn't really need tech lights necessarily, but they give a lot more light and a lot better light than the default ones do, which means that I've only needed 4, and even at night it's very bright inside of the base. The rest of the base has a couple more, but I can definitely recommend that if you want to easily light up your base. Then, if we go over here to the side, we'll find another room. And in this case, I've kept this as a breeding space. So we have some of the utilities we need. And then again, access to the water pen. In this case, we've got some archlons parked up here, so we can easily harvest the algae. But of course, you can also just have your breeders going on, and you can quickly access them in and out of the water. But you could also repurpose this room, make this something else if you need to. On the other side, I have one with staircases going up. So again, you can kind of mix and match and personalize this base quite easily for your own personal needs, since it is such a big space and there is plenty of things to access. These skylights, by the way, are also cellar doors, just skinned with the same glass skin that I've used everywhere, which is from the Arkitect's Paradise custom cosmetic, which adds this beautiful clear glass skin, which you can use on pretty much every structure, which makes it perfect for these bases where you just really need a proper window. So yes, besides having the access points here to the water and all sorts of breeding related things, we also have an entryway up here to the side of the base where, I mean, we still have these corners, so there's definitely a lot of space that you could utilize, and of course more access points in and out of the water just in case you fall off the base. That's always nice to have, of course. Then if we continue all the way across back to basically the opposite side of the base, this is where I've basically designed it as the main crafting and storage room. So we have the tech wrap easily fitting inside here. Of course, we have the same kind of entryway on this side too, so easily access to some of these corners where you have some more space, maybe for some tames. And of course, in and out of the water, we have some steam forges on both sides that easily fit inside. Behind it, we have a bunch of dedicated storage, as well as some vaults that you can use for all of your gear. The same over there. We have more storage, so quite a lot already on this first part. But then we kind of have these layered balconies where you can put down a bunch of different crafting stations, even more up here. And then, of course, on the other side, we kind of have the same kind of thing, different crafting stations all the way up to the top. And then you reach the top part of the base without leaving and going outside. We do have access to the rooftop here. Place the transmitter here. We have got some water cans as well to get all water. And, of course, we have this little farm going on. Got some acros here because, well, why not use this space? You have so much space. Since we don't really have flyers on Genesis, of course, you might have flyers if you're building this elsewhere. Yeah, we can easily use them as a breeding location. And then you actually have a ton of space up here. I kind of ran out of like basic things you would need in a base. Added some nice decoration here with the aquarium. But other than that, I kind of made a tribe bedroom here. So we have a bunch of bunk beds here. We have some personal storage and some cryopod storage should you need it, and then a bunch more storage over on this side, a nice tribe meeting table, as well as the kitchen. So kind of an idea what you could do with it, but you can see there's so much space. You could definitely have a whole bunch up in here depending on your personal preferences and your personal needs, of course. And then on the other side, we have another giant platform to work with. Again, you can make a little farm, you can park some of your tames up here, do breeding, whatever you want. It is a pretty big base, and that means you just have endless amounts of space for you to utilize. I think it's a pretty cool design. As I said, I really like this also just because it's a bit of a callback to some of my older bases, which is quite fun. Play around with a similar kind of design. But I will say using two ocean platforms really gives you an insane amount of space and really pushes you very close to the official structure limit. So that is something to keep in mind. And of course, this would be quite a costly base to make, but I do think it's a nice blueprint, whether you just want to leave it as is without any cosmetics, or maybe you want to skin it to get a different look. Okay, and a quick transformation later, we have this base. Now, I didn't go too crazy with these skins. The majority of it is actually the LF Seamless Wall skin, which is this beautiful white texture that actually is really, really nice. It adds these round kind of corners to all your textures, so they really kind of blend together in a nice way, and you can see how that looks as this modern base has been transformed. Very clean and very nice. Then I've combined this with the railings from Pave the Road. There's a futuristic skin in there, and that looks really, really cool with the glass kind of railings. I've got that going on everywhere. And then some of the floors down below, I've used the construction skin from the bunker structure skins, which is another really cool skin, kind of to get this see-through floor. I thought that matched the vibe quite well, and actually has the added bonus that we can see more of our water pen from up here. So yeah, you can see how they kind of transform the look. But as I said, it's quite easy to just swap out skins and, you know, make it look the way you like, especially with the design that is not really designed specifically for a skin, but can be enhanced by using skins if you want to go for some different textures. But yeah, you can see we still have the water pens here, in and out on both sides, and then of course the crafting hall itself. I did go for the full white floor here at the bottom too, but then we have the platform still using that same kind of flooring here, which is nice to see through, so you can kind of see between the layers. And again, they pave the road for the railings as well as for these thin pillars, just to kind of enhance that look a little bit, give some accent pieces. Very clean aesthetic up here now, definitely. As well as for these balconies, they become very clean, kind of transition very smoothly into the roof. So again, you can of course, if you build a base like this, skin it whatever way you want, but just to kind of showcase you the differences between without skins and with skins, and what cosmetics can do for the kind of aesthetic and vibe of your base. Well, that's going to be it for today's video. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd really like to see down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again in the next one.